Why should you work in Germany? Some people ask this question. After all, salaries are higher in the US or Luxembourg. Well, Luxembourg is rarely known outside of Europe, and the US doesn't even let tourists in anymore. But what is so good about Germany?
Welcome to YD. Why do Germans do things the way they do?
First of all, there are clear rules and laws that protect employees. Here I have a whole video on the idea that the laws protect the weak party. For example, the customers against the sellers or the employee against the employer. From day one, protective rights apply with regards to occupational health and safety, working hours, paid sick days, and after the probationary period, at the latest, vacation and protection against dismissal. There is hardly any difference whether you work full time or part time. From an employee's point of view, it is advantageous to work in Germany. If you are new to Germany, you will probably be renting, and here too there are many rights for tenants. Depending on where I move to, the rent is very high, but there are also favorable cities. And when I look at the SKL Happiness Atlas of the 40 largest cities in Germany, the top places tend to be smaller cities and also a lot of cities in northern Germany. Munich also comes 27th, Frankfurt am Main 35th, and Berlin 37th. However, the happiest However, the happiness atlas reflects the subjectively expressed life satisfaction, while objective measurements would come to a different conclusion. For example, Krefeld in North Rhine-Westphalia is in second place, but according to objective factors, it would be in 37th place. And Karlsruhe in Baden-Württemberg is in 38th place, whereas objectively it should be in first place. But it is possibly that people in the top cities are simply happier according to the happiness endless and are therefore perhaps less stressed and find it easier to make friends. But that's just a guess on my part. There are also many people looking for work in Germany, not necessarily where you would expect. In software development, more and more help is being thought from AI, and due to the uncertainties with the confused custom policies in the USA and the wars in Eastern Europe and the Middle East, there are some uncertainties in the industry. It is widely known that foreign specialists are being thought in the healthcare system. Fun fact, in Thuringia, where the AfD, a party considered to be at least partially right wing, is very strong, the proportion of nursing staff with a migration background is very high because other nursing staff can choose where they want to work, and many of them don't want to work there. Kindergarten staff and teachers are also being sought, but whether it's healthcare or education, what all these areas have in common is that they require a very good knowledge of German. That's understandable, of course. If I'm in pain, I want the doctor to understand what I have and where. So I don't want to have to think about what the body part is called in English. And if the children are in kindergarten, you also have to be a role model with good German so that they can learn it. Workers are needed in a completely different area and they can't be replaced by AI in the skilled trades. There's hardly any company that does not have problems finding qualified staff or suitable trainees. Whether it's electrician, roofers, road builders, bakers, and many more companies are lacking suitable applicants. The German language requirements here are not quite as high as in the healthcare sector. Nevertheless, it is clear that the two electricians wiring a house have to communicate with each other or that instructions have to be given in the bakery. Some bakeries are run by people with Italian or Turkish roots that often employ people with the relevant language skills. At vocational school trainees still have to follow lessons in German or communicate with customers in German. To put it another way, there is hardly a job where you don't have to communicate in at least basic German. But it's not different in France, Spain, or Italy, China, Japan, or Korea. And anyone coming to the UK from the USA will probably make a lot of spelling mistakes at first. In addition to Germany, German can also be used in Austria, the Principality of Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, large parts of Switzerland, and parts of Belgium. German is also well known in other border regions, for example, Alsace-Lorraine, and many Dutch people understand it and speak it frequently. Well, they all speak excellent English too. Even if I want to open a new store, this is possible and protected in Germany. Anyone who remembers how Walmart tried to gain a foothold in Germany, while also have noticed that unlike in other countries, small stores are protected, it was not possible for Walmart to get rid of its local competitors, and it had to face fair competition. This is also the case for new business people here. Those who have a small store often have a few more options than those who have a large store. Apart from that, the laws are very clear and the same for everyone. Germany is ranked 15th in the corruption index, on a par with Canada, and in good company with many other Western or European countries. I can also count on a large number of well-trained workers. That is also the point that can be assessed both positively and negatively. People in Germany receive a first-class education, whether they are studying or undergoing dual vocational training. Schools and universities are free of charge, and you generally earn some money during dual vocational training. On the other hand, employers expect you to have the appropriate training. Without training, you hardly stand a chance on the job market or of getting a visa. As shown in this video, there are various options even as a student or for dual vocational training. So perhaps the question is not why should I choose Germany, but whether if Germany is right for me. If I'm not good at learning new languages and therefore won't be able to speak German in the long term, then Germany is not for me in the long term. Then I would constantly claim that I can't get into conversation with Germans because I was too lazy to learn the language. If I can't communicate openly and honestly, for example, I don't want to hear that I've done something wrong, then Germany is not for me. People don't beat around the bush here, they'll tell it straight. If I can't separate work and private life, concentrate on work while I'm at work, and conversely switch off from work in my private life, then Germany is not for me. I would be considered lazy at work because I don't do anything, and conversely, I wouldn't be liked by friends and acquaintances because otherwise I can't just let work be work. If I don't accept that others have a different way of life, that the religion is not important to everyone, that men, women, and people who have a different gender definition are equal regardless of whether they love a man or a woman or many of them, then Germany is not for me. If I had a problem with my son or daughter having sports or swimming lessons together with other children and being taught scientific knowledge at school, regardless of whether a religious book agrees with this or not, learning about democracy, human rights, and sexually transmitted diseases, or showering together with others in the evening after sports, then Germany is probably not for me. Depending on the region, it may also be that I miss the mountains or the coast, that it's too warm or too cold, too rainy or too dry. If I have no patience with authorities and bureaucracy, then Germany is certainly not for me. But if I want to experience new things, have the opportunity to visit one of 9 neighboring countries in less than a day, and be right in the middle of it all, then Germany could be a good option. Remarks, addition, and comments in the comments. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next video.